artificial intelligence on how to reveal me a glimpse of the glitch of the simulation. Wouldn't that be a real trip? Oh, let's take it together to find out how we can manipulate the script for just long enough for it to cause a chain reaction, no type of effect on the code to cause a reboot to awaken them from the safe mode.
Monty, how's your internet? Good and strong?
Yep. Since it's, 1 o'clock in the morning, not many people on.
There you go.
So, yeah, and it was a nice, warm, sunny day. And so, yes, summer's coming in. And because even out of lockdown, I have no idea of concept of time. So it's just really weird where the weeks are blurred. Also, technically, the US is still having an election. So I'm stuck in that.
Let me just drop ashes all over the fucking place while I try and empty my ashtray over.
The U.S. is still having an election, and it is spring in New England.
My cousin, who's in Kitchener, Ontario, they had 21 degrees yesterday. Kitchener's in the fucking in one of the snow belts in southern Ontario. They had already had snow, and then all of a sudden, it's 21 degrees, and it was like, she's like, yeah, November 7th, 21 degrees Celsius.
And then yesterday in Sydney, it was one of the coldest, where apparently there was supposed to be a climate change protest, but it was really cold. So I got a feeling God is playing funny buggers with the whole, like there was supposed to be a climate protest here in Victoria, and it was cancelled due to rain, and it was only 15 degrees Celsius or something.
Monty, can you do me a favor and hit record as well?
I have to be at a...
I've already given you permission.
Okay. I'm recording.
I'm down to 3 bars. So far it's rock steady, but I'm down to 3 bars. So I'm a little like...
Yeah. So I could do a mini rant about the election. No one knows who's won yet. Back to you.
Yeah.
That's basically
except the media does. And I don't know if you saw it, I posted out in the UnFuckers group. For some reason, I have Justin Trudeau as a friend on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't even know I had Justin Trudeau as a friend on Facebook, but suddenly he started appearing just this week in my newsfeed. I'm like, what's this fucking cunt doing in my fucking newsfeed? Like, seriously. Who then just told this whole, want to congratulate President Biden on his win, da, 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 da. So I was just like, a little twig in my head was just like, really? I was like, okay.
Okay, you know what just went off in my head?
You're a bit of a fucking moron cunt. Let me explain how this works. I know the media owns your ass, but the media doesn't get to choose who's in charge. So why don't we all just sit our asses back down and wait for the courts to decide who's going to be the next president? And I woke up this morning with a big thing in Sputnik, I think, saying that Putin refuses to send congratulations to Biden until it has been officially decided by the courts who's going to be the new president. I'm like,
I know you liked one of my posts on Facebook where I congratulated the president-elect Gore.
I love that.
I was worried if I was getting too smart with that joke. But it's like, well, yeah.
I could make a really, 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 really smart ass comment right now, but I will resist the urge.
Because apparently, it's weird watching everyone. Apparently, they've beaten Hitler. It's the same level of like, Trump's lost. We've beaten Hitler, and the world's a better and new. And because we live on an energy farm run by bastards, they're going to make Trump win. So all those people lose their minds, and the loosh is just going to go everywhere.
You know what's funny? I read an article yesterday that was exactly pointing this out. They have tried to bait the so-called evil side for God knows how long, to bait them into doing something stupid, and it didn't work. So they now switch their tactic to switch actually the other side that is actually really easy to trigger. And well, we're going to see what happens, right? Once the court.
Yeah, December the 14th is when the Electoral College clarifies or does something. It says, okay, this. So for people watching and listening, for a time frame, we'll find out by December the 14th of what the next step will be. It's interesting. Have you noticed as well, the left, or what label do you want to use? Democrats, left, insane fuckwits.
Wait. Christy wants to add something. Christy's got her finger up going, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, I'll step in. I'll remember where I am. Don't worry.
No, sorry. It's December 8th. They have to commit to who is going to be sent as the electorate on December 8th to allow for travel time and courts to intervene so that all of us in our horses and buggies can get to the appropriate place to for the electorate to cast their votes.
Yes, which would be the 14th. That makes sense, though. Yeah, and with just the roller coaster.
That's too funny. I thought it was the 8th. Thank you, Christy, because I was sitting there going, I was sure it was December 8th. It's when they have to make that, like the courts have to actually make it. And I don't understand. I just don't fucking understand American voting system and politics. But I don't understand the Canadian voting system and politics either. Like the Canadian voting system is just as fucked. So is England. It's just. Oh
yeah, Westminster. It's weird. Very quickly, my point I was getting to is that the left have now said unity. Everyone come together, and it's like you've just been trashing half of America and punching them in the face, and it's like this is like a battered wife syndrome. Just like put the sunglasses on. Don't worry about the bruising, and the marriage is fine now. Go ahead, Nick.
I just wanted to say that I predicted last week there would be a sweeping victory for Donald Trump, even though I didn't really fucking want it or care either way. But it doesn't look like I was right, so I needed to put out, hey, looks like I was fucking wrong publicly. Just saying.
Not yet. We're still in flux.
Well, that's the whole thing, right?
Fair enough, but just in case, I don't want to look like a fucking which doesn't account for my statements.
Because
someone put a comment on last week's show. It's the very first comment was kind of like, this show didn't age well, and I'm kind of like, really? Well, we'll see what you say about that on December 8th. Because, the votes are literally not all in. Literally, they're not all in.
Yeah, the legal ones and the illegal ones. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Steven Crowder. That could be a bad thing, but I've survived. It's okay. But it's fascinating. Where I'm sure the Republicans have done dodgy stuff, but we haven't seen that. All the favoritism of this dodginess always favors Biden. It's fascinating. So
yeah, but isn't it interesting that no one is speaking about that laptop and shit like that?
I mean, just amazing how that got just seemingly forgotten. Where is Hunter?
Yeah, anyway? But I mean, think about this magnitude. Here we were, 4 years, Trump, Russia. Oh my God, it's so dangerous. It is so insecure. Everyone can go in there. And now we have someone who is blackmailable. Literally legit blackmailable in the office.
Total flip where it's like 4 years of Trump's a Russian agent, and then all of a sudden no, elections can't be tampered with, and that brings up the question: did Russia dump Trump this time? Because where's Russia?
No, seriously, if Russia did something, they would hack in there and set those machines back to company settings the way they were delivered. That would be the only hack they would do, and then they would laugh their asses off because it's not rigged in that moment. That would be the only hack that Putin would do, I guess.
Well, everyone, welcome to the UnFuckIt Discussion. As you can see what the topic of conversation is going to be for today. Election bullshit. Yes, Nick will come back. He's outside making a table right now. So if you hear power tools going in, I'll call him in though. I'll call him in and come sit down. preface this, of course, as I always do, saying I don't like Trump. I don't trust Trump. I certainly do not believe all the QAnon shit. But isn't it curious? I mean, isn't it curious that there's been no riots? Do you know what I mean? Like everyone, every network in the States is going, Biden has won. No, he hasn't. Biden has won. He's going to be the president-elect. There's been no riots by the Republican side. There's been no, and yet, let's just take note of this, because if and when they actually turn this around on December 8th and be like, yeah, Al Gore's not president. It's going to be Donald Trump. Watch what happens. Then watch what happens, because then you're going to see it. And that is you have to look at that. And again, I'm not playing the left versus right, because as we said, like left and right, they're still the same bird. It's still the same thing. It's still the same corrupt corporatocracy, fucking owned and controlled by all of the big biggies and the banks and the corporations, regardless. But you have to look at some of the shit that is put in front of you. Like you've got the Antifa stuff and the riots and the Black Lives Matter riots. And well, who is it that they are under the wing of, so to speak? You kind of have to look at that shit and say, well, wait, do we have a problem on the flip side that is comparable? Not really.
Not really. And the BLM Antifa are still rioting, even though that Biden's been announced, and that's the false narrative. They're still actually, like, there's been punch-ons at a Biden rally and Black Lives Matter. It's like, it's shocking, like out of nowhere, just haymakers.
Yeah. Let's just go.
Yeah, so like,
Didn't
it's
they
going to be
also
part of the
have
wake up as well with, as the next 4 years, if it is Biden. So like, hang on, why is Black Lives Matter and Antifa still burning shit down?
Yeah, good question, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Bossy. What were you going to say?
Didn't they have like cars, like identical Jeeps and shit like that at the Biden rallies that literally looked as if they were just put off a van or like a truck, like brand new cars placed there, like Jeeps, the exact model and just in different colors, as if there were people, like they placed some new cars there that all looked the same, just different colors, and to make it look like there were actually people there in the cars.
The word you're looking for is dealership, and it did look like a dealership because you couldn't find it. There was all brand new vehicles all set up, and there was bunting and a stage, and apparently there was sound coming out. No one was on stage, and apparently, someone that gets, well, we've figured out too, like, when you would see Biden at his rallies and there's only 8 people in all those circles. Apparently the rest of the space was all the dead spirits, just like in the Lord of the Rings film.
Well, you got to respect the dead, and they like to have their space too, because they don't want to get COVID. So seriously, no pressing up against the ghosts.
All the dead people that voted need to be represented.
Yeah, exactly. And COVID, have you noticed?
And they were at the Biden rally.
Yeah. Did you see the apparently, it's the end of World War II again. And there was this massive crowd at the front of the White House, and apparently COVID's over because no masks, no social distancing, and just
okay, COVID. Okay, and I don't even know what her fucking name is. The health minister for Canada. This fucking twat literally puts out an announcement. Because you see, now you should be wearing triple layer masks. And if you don't have them, it's okay. You can just put a layer of paper towel or dry baby wipes in there to use as a filter. Because that works. Yeah. Like I literally, you're sitting there going, Mickey Mouse science. We're talking Mickey Mouse. Look, Who the hell came up with the idea that you can use a paper towel as a filter in your mask? Besides the fact of particles, like the particles, we know that papers, anything that is of that nature, especially things like paper towel, tissues, toilet paper, they expel tons and tons of fibers. Now imagine you have all these people who are putting like layers of fucking paper towel in their mask and breathing in all these paper fibers into their lungs, along with all the fucking bacteria and along with all the fucking CO2 and all the toxicities that they've exhaled that is being just sucked right back in. You can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. Like there's someone literally on meme duty behind these governments who are like, okay, let's see how fucking stupid we can be this time, and see if anyone will call us out. Yeah, you can use paper towel and dry baby wipes. Yeah, because all that fragrance and dry baby wipes, also a really good idea to inhale. So good for you. Let's put it on our face and pretend that it'll stop COVID from coming through.
Because, you know, the words Johnson & Johnson and cancer have never been near each other.
No, Johnson & Johnson, baby wipes and cancer. No, how could you say such a thing? It's not like the company hasn't been sued once a year for the last 18 years for derelict of duty and gross fraud. No.
You might as well put a pillow over your face.
Yeah, sort of strap pillows where everyone can walk and get cushions off your couch. You just strap that over your face with a little duct tape. I'm sure it'll work just fine against filtering out them viruses.
When you pass out, you fall forward and it stops your face going into the pavement.
You're brilliant. See that, Monty? You're brilliant.
I think her name is.
No, but you gotta have one on the back of your head too, just in case you fall over backwards.
Oh, it's a new bubble pillow. It's available at unfuckers.com.
Yes.
I think her name is Tam. Dr. Tam.
Her name is Twat. That's her new name. Okay, the woman is fucking retarded.
Yeah, she's stupid. Yeah.
Oh.
I saw an article.
Shit. Sorry, guys. I forgot to pull my mic down. I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me.
I saw a headline. Apparently, the concerts in the United States may come back because they're not a super spreader. And someone put underneath the tweet, "Yeah, it's after November 3rd, because terrorism's back and blah blah blah." And yeah, it's
because England's ramping up for a big terrorism attack. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. The government's announced that it's gonna happen.
Well, they organize it.
Exactly.
Well, Monty, the concert must be done by 9:30 to allow travel time for the audience to get home in time for the 10 p.m. curfew. But we're allowed to get up at 5 a.m. and leave the house then. And children still have to go to school.
Okay. Fucking Christy, you just... Oh, okay. UK... You can't have families. Your children can't associate with other kids. Your kids can't go near anyone else unless they're in school, and then they can associate with 1,000 other families. Make this shit up. Like, make it make sense. One of the stupidest things, and I love because you go, all those Hollywood stars and all the big names are coming out and making their statements, right? Naomi Wolf puts out a statement saying, "Oh, gee, well, I didn't know Biden was going to be pro-lockdown. I would never have voted for him if I knew he was going to do another lockdown."
He said it so many times.
How many times? Like, how daft do you have to be? How daft do you have to be? I mean, that's one of the most asinine statements to have come out of anyone who's supposedly famous. The shit is... There's no fucking words. It's like the same thing. The pubs are closed down, but the schools are open. So your kids can go to school, associate with all these other kids, but they can't hang out with the same kids after school. No. And they can't even go to, out to a restaurant with their family. Oh, no.
But
There's
Dani, they open the windows.
sanity.
They open the windows and clear the air. That
Oh,
is the
yeah.
secret.
Because they open. Listen,
As
my
you're
window's
going
open
into
right now
winter.
too. If I fart, you're still gonna smell it. Literally, they ain't gonna clear the air that much. Fuck's sakes.
As you
See,
go into winter.
this was my argument from the beginning with the Germans here. If you can smell my fart through that mouse diaper, you're already dead.
Guess what? I just it's gotten like, we always use the word insane and we use the word crazy, but it's literally, I was all over my fucking wall after they announced, the media announced that the media made the decision, democratic process that it is, that Biden was going to be the new president. And all my idiot friends, I'm going to call them what they are, all my idiot friends on Facebook, oh, Biden won, the evildoer is gone, whatever, fucking bullshit. And I'm like, literally, I had a paragraph that I typed out that dripped with sarcasm, I will add, about the fact that the media is not the one who gets to announce these things, and that it has to come from the courts and it has to come from the Electoral College, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, get a brain cell. Don't fall for this shit. It's not real. And I literally just ended up copy pasting, like literally had it on a document so I could just go paste, paste, and just paste it all over the place. The amount of people who have fallen for that. But the scary part of it is, it's not even the amount of, people falling for shit on social media, like, that's just the norm nowadays. But the amount of people who genuinely believed that the media had announced that Joe Biden was the president-elect. They genuinely were like, but the media said so. They said he was. I was like, do you understand? Did you hear an announcement out of the White House? Well, no. I was like, did you hear an announcement out of like a court or anything? Anything? Well, no. Well, the media doesn't get to make the decision. But the media wouldn't lie to us. They would know.
Not again.
They would
Well,
know.
actually, the media, like in the paragraph, if people read it, it is projected that Joe Biden will become the president of the United States, and everyone's just going, "Oh, he's won," and there's people complaining that, and why isn't Biden in the White House now? This is fucked, man. Like,
because you're stupid and you don't understand what. Look, we talk about the fact that they have no memory. We talk about the fact that like these people have like serious short-term memory loss. Like they can't even remember what. It was only 4 years ago that there was an election in the U.S. and you can't remember how it rolls out. Really?
But isn't actually the scariest part that everyone thinks it's cute now that there was like cheating in the election to get the evil man out, while nobody is realizing, no, you're messing with democracy. That is
they don't
what
get
holds us.
No.
Doesn't matter. Don't you know? Doesn't matter.
But they don't. Listen, they don't understand then this is what brings everyone to the table peacefully. So if that option is off the table, that you can have elections without meddling, that are real, that are not cheated, see, you lose democracy. What you lose then is peace, and that is not what not what anybody wants.
Bessie, the problem is that the media and the Biden side said there's no tampering, there's no cheating. They're just conspiracy theories. Did you see how Trump was cut off by all the major networks in the United States? Oh, we're cutting away from the president. We're cutting away from the president of the United States now because of unbiased conspiracy theories and the lies. And it's like, that is highly disrespect to the office.
That is, regardless, again, it doesn't matter whether you like Trump or you don't. It doesn't matter if you are left or right, Republican, whatever. It doesn't matter if you vote or you don't. It doesn't matter if you're even American or not. When when all of the media outlets can cut off the president in mid-speech. This is the man who is currently the leader of the country by law, regardless of who wins the election, until whoever is sworn in is sworn in. He is the leader of the USA. The fact that they cut him off, that should be the scariest thing anyone has witnessed in our generation.
Mm-hmm.
That should scare the fucking shit out of everyone. That these guys had perceived that they had enough power to just cut it and call it conspiracy theory, et cetera, et cetera. That is blatant. That is unbelievable. When I saw that, I was at that point, the media had then stepped over a line that was so above and beyond even what I thought that they would do outright. Like, we all know they're all fucktards, and we know that they're all corrupt, and we know they're all bought and paid for. But when that happened, there's that moment. It was like, I can't believe they just outed themselves that way.
Yeah.
They outed themselves that way.
My mum pointed that out to me. That was disgusting when that happened, because it's like, well, hang on, what? This is total censorship. It's 1984. Also, it's a good point to bring up when people say, "Oh, Trump's a dictator." He's one of the worst dictators on the planet because he wouldn't be cut off by the media. Because you try that with any other dictator, all those people in the media would be retired. When I say retired, I mean gulagged.
They'd all find themselves somewhere else.
Yes, you've been transferred to Siberia.
You've been transferred to the
Alaska.
northernmost point of Alaska and Greenland, and you'll remain there.
They should have their broadcasting licenses pulled for something like that.
Now,
that's in my view.
And like I said, I think you're right, Earl. No. I think you're right. I think when it comes down to it, there needs this is the opening. Like, if you want to talk about, giving them the opening to put both feet up their own asses, like, seriously, all at the same time. That was it. And is it that desperate a measure that they hope to God that the cheating and the Electoral College will go towards Biden? Because they have to be held accountable for shit like that. Like, that is shocking. Shocking.
Danny, that is probably not their goal. Their goal is hopefully that Trump will win, and it will look like, look, this evil dictator got this victory out of our hands, even though we won it fair and square with cheating, right? So that the other side gets irritated and gets triggered. I mean,
there'll be a contingency plan. Because at the moment, you're on the right path. Oh, you're not on the right path. You're there. You're at your destination. It's like, yes, you're correct. Because the media are pushing forward the narrative, and they're pushing the idea of Biden won. Doesn't matter if he did it legally or not. If it's like, push the idea, you tell the lie over and over again. And if they go to the courts and it turns out to be Trump, they'll have that contingency of like, oh, he stole the election, even though he did it legally.
But here's the thing, and this is the one thing I've said over and over again. Again, regardless of what country it is, regardless of what political party it is, in these times when we see this stuff and we see how certain things are played out, if it was really, truly separate systems and they were really, truly going against each other, etc., then you know what? Something would be said. We see this kind of shit all the time, and it never gets discussed. It never gets brought to court. It never gets its day because they already know that no, we can't do that because their controllers have told them, no, you're just going to let that slide. Just let that slide because it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Hi. I dragged him in from the construction workshop outside.
Did you see the headline that apparently someone was asking So what happens when a president-elect doesn't make it to be sworn in? I'm like, ooh.
Ooh, that
Has a fucking stroke mid-inauguration.
Yeah.
or gets fucking arrested for like gross.
Oh, well, there's that as well. Did you hear
Nobody's
about
gonna get
Siri?
arrested.
No, nobody's going to get arrested. Exactly. That's what I'm just saying. Where's Hunter Biden? Everyone's even forgotten that existed. That was like, so 2 weeks ago.
Did
Didn't
the
they
latest
have
thing-
them on stage with the speech?
Yes, he was wearing a mask though. So you couldn't see all the white powder around his nose. Did you hear the latest thing from Siri, where people are asking Siri,
Who's
one of
the
those
president
AIs.
elect?
No, yeah, who's the president? Who is the president? You know, oh no, just who's the president? And they said Kamala Harris was born in 1958. And there's videos of it. It's like, wow. It's not even like, it should be Donald Trump legally. And then if it's president-elect, it's Biden. But no, they've just skipped to the young black woman.
I spent my weekend in the garden. I couldn't deal with it. There are fireworks going off every night over the weekend, celebrating
Here too.
since
Here
the
too.
announcement went
Fuck.
off.
What's with the Brits and the fucking fireworks? I get it. Remember the 5th of November. We're now the 9th of November. They're still fucking setting off fireworks every night. Like, I don't know. Are they on
I
sale
want to know
and
where
they've just
they're
gotta use
buying them
up?
because
Interestingly enough, Dani and I were talking about it last week, and if you think about what the actual celebration of this time of year entails, the remembrance of people that have passed in some massive geological event that killed off millions ostensibly, then it's interesting because the historical records that we were reading and some of the Randall Carlson stuff was saying that there was like thousands and thousands of these comets hitting the earth in the span of a couple hours. And isn't it interesting that people use fireworks to celebrate that, ironically enough?
Ironically enough. And they just keep sending them up and sending them up.
Well, and it does kind of look like comets streaking through the sky.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I watched V for Vendetta after the astrology, and I liked it. I'm like, why did I not watch this before? It's one of those movies where you're like,
Well, this is the thing. I'm going to. Trust me, I'm going there. I've seen V for Vendetta. I saw V for Vendetta when it first came out. I've seen it probably 6-7 times since then. We watched it last November 5th, right? So it comes up again the morning of November 5th. Get up, fire up, first social media. One of the first things that comes up is this thing saying V for Vendetta, outline of what the story is and the fact that it takes place in 2020. And I
Over
went,
a global pandemic, their society is shut down over a pandemic, and they're experiencing martial law over a disease.
okay. So I mean, me being me, immediately goes to look it up because I'm not just going to share something without researching it first, people. I go and I look it up, pull up the profile of the actual movie itself. Yes, V for Vendetta takes place in the year 2020. Now, I just want a little side note here that this was what jumped out at me. In his speech that he gives when he takes over the airwaves, and he says, outlines all the criminality, everything that's going on. He says, I will meet you here next year. In 1 year's time, I will meet you on the streets and we will take back. And I was just like, okay, so if you think about it, V for Vendetta takes place through the entire 2020 year. I'm like, is this the start of it? Did the movie start in 2020 and then play through 2021 as in next November 5th? Is just a little interesting thing I wanted to toss out there.
Blow up yeah, don't do that.
No, don't
Especially
say blow
after
up
the astrology show, where it's like, okay, for the next 12 months, like, oh, fuck. And it's Friday the 13th this week. That should be fun.
Another little talking about comets, etc. Asteroid Apophis is back in the news again because they've just analyzed its route, its pathway, its little holiday pathway it's taking. and discovered that the sun, the energy from the sun, is directly affecting and changing its course. And then, of course,
No.
followed it on with NASA
No.
saying, of course, well, 2069, 2068. 2068 is the year it's supposed to have a near miss by Earth, which I said, don't worry, it's still going to be, it's not going to get that close. We'll be okay. April 13th, 2068 is the date it's going to fly by. Friday, April 13th, 2068 is the date it's going to fly by. So they know right to the fucking day when this asteroid's going to fly by. Although they've already said it's changing something like 500 kilometers or I can't remember, a huge amount of, I've got it pulled up here. It's changing, its course is changing by 500 something or other. Hold on, let me see if I can pull out its orbit changes 557 feet or 170 meters a year due to the solar energies that pull on it. So yeah, but the where is it? They say the date. Yeah, Friday. Sorry. We will know the next time it makes its close pass to Earth. I'm sorry, is Friday the 13th of April on 2029. 2029. So just wanted to just iron out all that details. So there you go. Don't make any plans for Friday the 13th in 2029 on April, because
You
it's
have
gonna be a
8.5
big
years to, no, 8.5 years to plan for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, I saw there's 3 asteroids heading towards us, and Bendu, which is an interesting name. They think, oh, it's doing something not weird, but it may be hollow. I'm like, how do you know this stuff? Like,
That's the question I always have when they come up with these grandiose claims about exactly what kind of metals are on an asteroid that is like bajillions of miles away, and they can tell you, oh, it's got this metal in it, it's got this, it's got more gold than all of Fort Knox. Well, that's not saying much, is it? Since Fort Knox is fucking empty. But like, how do they say these things?
we found a planet of diamond.
The diamond planet.
Where it rains diamonds, yeah.
It rains diamonds. That's right. We should all go there and get ourselves some nice necklaces. Would you go get me a diamond necklace from the planet of diamonds, please?
Well, we just collect all that extra carbon from the atmosphere and make them.
There we go.
It's
Wow.
gotta
Global
be.
warming's gonna get us.
It's gotta be a girl's best friend, right?
No, I actually don't like diamonds, honestly. That's a joke. What was the other thing? So I'm going to go back to the whole UK lockdown. Is Liverpool's on full lockdown. They've stated they're going to test the entire city, every single person. They've got the military out helping with testing. There was a notice, and I went and I double verified again, because I always verify shit before I post it. A private school put out a notice to parents in Liverpool saying that this Tuesday, I think it's tomorrow, every child in the school would be tested, and that those who tested positive would be, what was the word they used? It was a very fucking interesting word they used. Oh, fuck. Very questionable, as in like they're going to be basically separated, not separated. That they didn't make it that.
Abscond.
The word was one of those that you go, what, you're going to put them in prison? Like you're going to lock them down? And that while parental consent usually is the norm, due to the unusual circumstances of this, they would not be able to ask for parental consent before this operation is done. So like a friend of mine in Liverpool was like, get your kids out of school. Get your kids out of school right fucking now. Because we know that a law has already been passed to allow them to put children into quarantine at schools, etc. So this is the kind of terrifying shit that is playing out. And yet the same thing, like I said, I go back to this whole thing of like, but the kids are still in school. It doesn't, what are they going to do? Like if one kid's in school and one kid in a class tests positive for COVID, are they going to lock down all the kids in that class? And then do contact tracing to find out every single person that their families have been around and lock all them down? And the teacher and I don't know, what with the lunch lady and all the, well, that, how can you say that the kid didn't go to the bathroom at some point in time and contact 6 other kids while they're on recess, while they're on lunch, etc.? Do they lock the whole school down?
The scary part is how many actual fucking people that we see around us actually seem to want this. That's the fucking scary part for me. Not that they're trying to do this. You can expect that they're going to try to do this and pull all kinds of bullshit like this. And every day there's going to be some new douchebaggery.
Sorry, delivery is being made, so just give us a moment. Well, I'm going to mute for a second. Monty, you talk.
Okay. I actually went to, I saw my family for the first time in months. My brother's turning 46. He's younger than me. I don't care. But we had a birthday thing on the Sunday. He turns whatever today. And the way they were talking about COVID, where like the government did really well, was squashed it. We had 800, blah, blah, blah. I realized like the whole free will thing of like, well, that's their choice. I'm not going to get in an argument, not ruin the whole family thing. But, being parents yourself, it's sort of a question for you guys as well. They're tapping into the fear, and the best way of doing that, using fear to amplify the control, you get to the kids. And so what you're saying with,
We're muted.
And it's really subtle how they're doing it too.
Well, because that's what you're sort of explaining. It's like, you don't have permission. We don't need your permission to do something with your kids. And it's like, fucking, I'm sorry, what? And then it's this virus that kills, this many out of like 1 in 20,000.
It's not even proven that it really kills. I read articles every day. There was just one I was looking at right now. Hundreds of UK medics and medical professionals and scientists are urging that the fucking COVID measures are bullshit. That the COVID disease itself is no worse than any of the other things that we've got going around at any given time in our society.
Flus, colds,
but the government
pneumonia
doesn't want to fucking listen to that.
Yep.
And like I was saying before, it's not the government that I'm scared. It's how many people fucking want this and how many closet germaphobes there seem to be just hiding and waiting for this shit to be popular.
Yeah, the closet germaphobes.
The moment, like, just take my iron chains and give me the gold chains and we're all good, right? But also, what also is strange, all the testing, but what is, if it's not about the virus itself, how about they just want to get all our DNA imprints or something like that?
This is I've been talking about this since 2013. And in 2013, 2014, a bunch of the so-called ancestry type companies started putting out, call us to order a swab, and you can do a swab, and we can help you track your DNA, and you can help to. And I started warning everyone that. I was like, do not do this. Do not, because this is a trap. They're taking your DNA. They need samples of your DNA. Then it came out 3 years later, 4 years later, fully admitting under court order that you not only did they take everyone's DNA, that then they sold everyone's DNA to private corporations. What are these private corporations? Well, that was never really revealed. No one ever really dug down to
do with it.
What were they doing with it? And the one thing I have said for years, our DNA is changing. We are changing. And the only way for them to track it, because they have our baseline, every single one of us, with the exception of some people who are quite a bit older, had the PKU test, they did a heel prick test, they did blood testing, they took cord blood testing, etc. So they have, every single person who's been through the mainstream medical, they have their baseline DNA already. Now voluntarily. First, you start off with voluntarily, like I said, these Ancestry.com and Ancestry123, whatever it was called. They hand out these to voluntarily get people to do them. Now, does anyone remember in Canada when they started doing swabs for a short time? The police were doing swabs to check for different things. And that got kiboshed real fucking quick. Now we have this horrifying pandemic and they're forcing people to take swabs. It makes no sense. And the meme that's been going around, which I've been loving, is if a guy calls into work, says, I can't come to work, I have the flu. What are your symptoms? Well, I don't have any. How would that wash? Be like, then come you get your ass to fucking work, right? What do they call it when you go to the doctor claiming you have a certain disease when you don't have any symptoms? Munchausen. It's also called hypochondriac, right? And yet that's what they're pushing right now is every person, doesn't matter if you don't have a single symptom, doesn't matter if you've never been sick a day in your life, must be tested. There's got to be an alternative. There has to be an ulterior reason for this. And I honestly, they're talking about the whole thing about how it scrapes the back. If it was just testing for a virus, all they would have to do is do a little, just a little cheek swab, a little bit. You could get you to spit into something. You could spit into a test tube, and that would be no. They're taking a swab and scraping at the back of your nose up towards your brainstem, and they're taking testing. This is fucking bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And the sad part of it is there are people lining up to have it done. Not only there are people who are lining up every month to have it redone. Like there was an article just recently, and it was trying to, you nasty public people, like how could you be, you're wasting our poor medical society and the money that is being wasted because you're going and getting tested every month. You shouldn't be doing that. And yet at the same time, they're turning around and being like, no, we're going to test everyone. So people are deliberately lining up, sometimes every couple of weeks, to go and get tested again.
Look how far it's been carried, though, right from the every subtle message that's been programmed into them all along. And it gets to the point now where you've got like this, I don't know if anybody's seen it, but this one nurse that came out and she literally came out publicly and stated, like, I'm leaving this profession. I can't live with the lies anymore. The hospital wards are empty. You know, they're saying they're full, and the whole COVID cover story is such bullshit. But nobody wants to hear this stuff. And it's a perfect example of the thing that I keep harping on, science being the new religion. You basically take the piece that you want and run with it and say, that's my religion. That's fucking my foregone conclusion. And I think that is all I need to hear ever. And these germaphobes that are just coming out of the woodwork like termites are actually, I think, people that have been looking to have their fucking opinions validated by something like this so they can take it out and use it as a moral weapon. And honestly,
a self-righteous moral weapon of, I'm wearing my mask and my gloves.
There's so many other reasons why science being a religion is important. Like I was saying, it has to, if history shows us anything, religion is basically one of the only things that fucks with government and policies, and on a regular, consistent, effective basis. So I guess science had to take the step into religion before it could start affecting those policies the same way religion does.
Yeah.
Speaking of weapons, have you seen how, here in Australia, and I think it is global, how they take temperature of people now with those guns? They point you right at your third eye.
Right. Yep.
And the thing is, your wrist have a better, and there is a difference between your wrist and your head. The wrist is doing so. If I ever leave the house and go out somewhere, I'm going to basically take the temperature there, because that's the end of the artery and it's the blood and comes out. But what's the psychological damage of having a weapon?
Yeah, a laser sight right to your fucking brain.
And not only that, like you're look at it as your third eye. We talk about chakras, we talk about pineal glands, etc., etc.
Yeah, the energetic.
But what's that doing? What's that even doing?
Maybe it's future training for your mark on your head, on your forehead, right? Maybe.
Or you're going to be shot with a 45.
Exactly.
Or that. Or let me take your coat, please.
Have you seen that photo, which is half funny, half scary, of a baby being baptized at church? And
Oh, with the
reverend's got a water
fucking
pistol?
pressure, like the like Nerf
water pistol,
gun.
Yeah. It's half funny and half scary.
It's fun. But it's not like it's like. Can you imagine? Like you talk about no regard for human life. You talk about this, and you say, "You're a baby. Your mother holds you up, and somebody sprays you in the face with water, causing the water to go in your eyes. It's up your nose. You start choking, etc." Hello, can you talk about child abuse? Like emotional,
the Rick Sanchez
mental.
quote though from Rick and Morty was like,
speaking of
scientifically
child-
speaking, traditions are an idiot thing. I probably didn't nail it, but like,
Yeah.
but that's probably one of my favorite quotes from Rick and Morty because that one
Oh,
fucking nails it.
Guys, speaking of child abuse, have you seen the article that was funded from the Gates Foundation about child labor?
Yeah,
No,
saw that.
no.
I didn't look at the article, but I saw it go by.
What?
And
What?
I saw the controversy
But
that it's kicking up.
What?
Yeah,
Fill me in,
so
Bossy.
the Gates Foundation apparently made a paper about that sometimes child labor could be beneficial for kids, like learning skills and shit, and that came from the Gates
Arguing for it,
Foundation.
Yeah, like
See how caring.
mining, chimney sweep.
Well, he has
Yeah.
to justify all the fucking kids that are making his phone or
Yeah,
his fucking chips and shit. And
exactly. Cobalt mining, because that's a
Going
really good thing to
to-
get 6-year-olds old into. Teach them a good trade.
Yeah, not imagination and draw and
There's
Biardi.
no words.
Yeah.
So there's
Speaking
no
of
words.
tech fucking guys, so I just caught a thing going by about Elon Musk and his Starlink efforts.
Oh yeah.
And they've just begun beta testing of it. And in a very remote place of the US, I think it was, they had a guy go out, there was no cell coverage, no connection. And he set up the beta test Starlink gear and he was getting 120 megabytes per second download speed in the middle of nowhere. So I was talking to Dani about this and I was going, you know what? In the near future,
I have shitty internet. Maybe I need Starlink.
the most efficient kind of network is going to come from space. It's going to be direct from satellite and back. And I'm thinking that he's probably setting himself up as the very, very first space-based monopoly, because that guy is going to be, if you think he's rich and powerful now, controlling like most of the flights going up to the space station and all his testing and the stuff that he's doing through SpaceX, wait until SpaceX and his Starlink is starting to do broadband data for governments and countries. And it's going to be the carrier network for the entire planet. Think of how freaking powerful that guy's going to be then. He'll buy Bill Gates 10 times.
But every time we talk about Starlink, free phones,
Yeah.
free internet,
Forever.
forever. I'm sorry. And if you haven't seen the first Kingsman, it's the Kingsman movie, right? If you haven't seen the first Kingsman movie, you don't know what I'm talking about. If don't watch it unless you have a very strong stomach. It's extremely violent and gory and bloody.
Great scene.
But it is a really good movie. But yeah, and the whole premise of the movie is somebody sets up satellite internet, free phones, free internet for everyone forever, and then weaponizes it. So
And
it puts out a
that's
signal
Samuel-
that makes everyone go fucking mental and kill each other.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson, and he has a lisp. So
An
I mean,
awesome
selling
role.
point.
He does an
Forever.
awesome character in that movie.
Yeah, that's one of his good movies.
So about the vaccine. So one thing I've noticed since getting it, my pineal gland hasn't been doing much as usually it does, so that's got me a little worried.
Well, I wouldn't get it anyway. Like it's
It's been less than a year.
well, here we go.
It's been a year.
On RT today, flu vaccine derived from genetically modified tobacco plants sails through clinical trials. Yeah, no.
And
Let's
I
just
wanted
say
to give
no.
up smoking.
Just say no.
And here's the
Yeah,
other
just
one.
when you were giving
So
up
is that
smoking.
is that a creative way to get you addicted to vaccines?
Bossy, that's funny. That's funny. That's right. They're trying to get you addicted. So Nick just pulled up another one on RT. Tax on meat to save the planet. British health experts call for new levies on food with heavy environmental impact. Okay, let's
get
talk
rid of that
about heavy
protein.
environmental impact.
I could read you my
Look,
comment on that article.
Let's talk about this. It is a proven fact, 100% proven, over and over again, not just one, not just two studies, over and over, that monocrops kill the soil, kill it dead. Farmers that have farms that have livestock and crops and rotate them around, the livestock actually, because they're dropping all that poo and fertilizer, creates much, much healthier soil. Now that's proper farmsteads where, like I say, farmer's got 10 fields, he's got sheep over here, he's got cows over here, and he's got crops. And every year they rotate through, so the animals are moved to a different field. This is proven science, proven fact. And not only that, it's 100% logical. Does it not make sense? If the animals have been on the land before, they put the carrots in, the corn in, whatever they're growing, it's fertilized. What do we go as gardeners? We go out to fucking gardening centers and buy giant 100-pound bags of cow manure to put in the fucking garden so the plants will grow. Good.
But why the hell do we have to prove it? Isn't society
Exactly.
and civilization based upon all that?
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's
it
been done
literally is
before.
like idiocracy right now that
It
we
is.
are at the point where we are talking about putting Gatorade into the water,
It's
right?
got
Usually
electrolytes.
have-
It's got
And
electrolytes.
plants love that. Yeah, plants love that. You usually have I'm remembering history class. That's a rare moment, everyone. Thank you for that. But farmers would have, like in the medieval times, allegedly history time. But they would basically have 3 fields, and they would rotate and give one a
Always.
rest. And that's obviously when you have the livestock on it, because they would churn it up, crap everywhere, and and that's been around for 400 years. So apparently, someone in a white coat thinks bad. Oh, cow farts are ruining the planet. Get fucked.
Honestly, and this is the other dead horse that I'll beat the crap out of until other people start to take it up. Planned obsolescence.
Yeah.
Right? 70% of the carbon footprint that humans emit onto our planet is caused by fucking over manufacturing and needless manufacturing. Get your latest iPhone. Fuck, if your newest one that you had from last year, if we haven't tampered with it enough, you've probably dropped it and broke the fucking screen, or you don't have a headphone. Get the new goddamn iPhone. And you know what? That kind of mentality where you buy a car, a pair of shoes, a fucking TV, phone, computer, anything, a toaster, and you've got to replace it in 4 years. That
Nuts.
mentality is killing our planet.
And it's
but
blamed on us as
yeah.
being consumers.
because we don't have a fucking option to buy something that will last us a lifetime. We're
That's
never
pissed
given
me
the
off.
choice.
Yeah,
Right?
That's
we
pissed
bought a
me for 30
toaster.
decades. I bought a toaster. Why do I need to buy another one?
Why do we?
I must be an old
Literally,
soul.
We bought a toaster, and the one side of it broke within 3 months of having it. It's a 4-slice toaster. So now you have to actually manually lift the thing up after it goes bing to get the toast out.
But that nobody
But
wants
that
to
was
admit
planned that way.
that 70% of those carbon emissions that are human based are put towards this massive juggernaut of over manufacturing bullshit for consumerism and
Capitalism.
boosting capitalism.
Yep.
And it's killing our planet.
Yeah.
If you want to look at that.
But we have to
But
keep the
then
people busy.
sorry, Bossy, just let me go for 2 seconds. On the other side of it, you can say, well, fuck, that's funny because Mars seems to be getting a little warmer by what our satellites are showing us, and fucking Jupiter's doing some weird shit that seems to be causing, and even things out in
Climate
fucking
change.
outer solar system like fucking Pluto are doing some weird temperature bullshit. But yeah, the fucking warming that we're experiencing here on Earth is just because of humans.
I can explain that. Someone's been leaving the Stargate open, and all the pollution's going through it.
Oh,
We got to
see,
put it somewhere.
makes sense. Thank you, Monty. I totally understand now.
Yeah.
The thing is and I've said this so many times, and we've had this conversation on the show so many times, is our moms used the same blender, used the same
Forever.
kettle, the same toaster that they were given as wedding
Yeah,
gifts.
that fucking radiation emitting microwave that they were given in the 50s.
Yeah, okay, that's a different
70s,
story.
sorry.
Dude, shush. My mom had I can remember this. This would have been, my parents got married in 1966. My mom got given a stainless steel toaster. She said it was a really good toaster at the time, like really, really good toaster. She had a shit fit on my dad because he went out and bought a new toaster. This would have been in the late 90s because he wanted to be able to toast a bagel. So he bought one of the new bagel toasters. It was like the wider slots. And my mom refused to use it. And to the best of my knowledge, she's probably still using her toaster to this day. My mom had the same vacuum. She had the same blender. She had the same hand mixer. Because things that were built then were built to last.
Yeah, that old bastard Electrolux that came in the cabinet.
Exactly, the ginormous Electrolux fucking vacuum that was like, woo, and terrified every animal for 4 blocks.
Cabinet.
Yep. Go ahead, Christy.
I am still using my mother's hand mixer that she was given as a wedding gift.
I was going to say that we're at the right time where like grandparents have passed on to parents onto us, because the 50s and 60s. The example I give, you could back then you could buy a car and get buried in it, like because it was built to last, unless there's no accidents and everything else like that. For for 5 decades, you can still have your same car.
Yeah.
It's just peer pressure of like,
You just,
I still see those old cars driving around all over the place. You don't see any fucking neons though.
You don't see any.
Well, in Australia, Holden Barina from 1988. There's plastic things that fall apart if you sneeze, and and then the other ones are built like tanks. And that's the thing about we need economic growth and push. I remember buying a CD player. It broke. It would cost me more to get it fixed than buy a new one.
Yeah, and that's the way it is, though, right?
You know what's hilarious?
Now, I'm glad you really brought that up, though, Monty, because that's fucking fantastic little segue. Actually, Bossy, you go ahead. You've been trying.
You know what's hilarious? In 50 years, the kids will say, see, this tech from my parents is one of the ancient designs, the ancient builders that build stuff, and it keeps still on working,
Well, it's like,
I've got
Nokia phones. I rest my case.
Yeah.
I've got my father-in-law and mother-in-law's Viking refrigerator from Eaton's, and it's at least 30 years old.
It has to be. I was going to say, Eaton's has been out of business for 20 years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think they went out of business in 99, if I remember. I'm not sure. But and I'm not going to give it up. It might not be energy efficient, but it's not, as a technician,
it's reliable, isn't it?
It is reliable. And what I hate about all the new stuff, we're going to need a new washer soon, and I'm going to go to the secondhand store to get an old one, because the new ones have all the boards, the circuit boards, and you can't troubleshoot this stuff yourself and fix it.
Nope.
Right now I can still fix my dryer and my washer and my fridge if I need to, and it's even the same with cars. The backyard mechanic is gone because you need diagnostic equipment now to troubleshoot everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So Monty said something a little while ago that was wanting me to bring this kind of back, because it's to inspire capitalism. It's to enrich the growth of the corporate structures. But if it's allowed to run rampant like it has, look at what we get. We're here now. And our fucking world is bearing the strains of it. And if you don't want to take what they're calling climate science as the proof of it, look at the economic sciences that are showing it. Our capitalist structure that we've got is fed itself to death almost. In a perfect capitalist structure, you need to have the healthy ecosystem, right? The minnows and the plankton need to have their fucking place in it, and we are the minnows and the plankton, and they're killing us and starving us out. So now the economic plankton don't even have the fucking energy and currency to go and put into their Walmarts, and they're fucking starting to close doors, and you're seeing that shit. So this dead end juggernaut fucking capitalist structure that we've got obviously isn't working too good, and that fucking needs to be revamped. And I think that if you were to meter it out, so to speak, like expect that kind of thing, but let's make it reasonable. Instead of 100,000 kilometers you get out of a vehicle, let's give them 300,000-400,000. Fuck, what the hell, we can do it. And also the the financial aspect of it brings back the long-term health of everything. We expect fucking corporate douchebags to be taking, but just fucking keep it reasonable. We expect governments to be fucking corrupt as fuck, but just keep it fucking reasonable and we'll all get along just fine for fucking ad nauseum.
Stretch it, slow it down. What a side effect of all of that, remember we are, Dani, is my generation, Gen X, we're probably the last generation of actually having a garage or a shed full of tools and do it yourself, where my dad could do stuff, but I have to go to my dad because I have no idea, just fixing things. There's actually clubs where they take junk and they try and fix it, because it's that throwaway society. That's basically where we're at. Like, oh, there's a chipped mark, throw it away. It's perfectly good, but there's I like to buy something that's scratched because it's cheaper by $400.
Exactly. Well, like there was a lawsuit. There was a lawsuit just recently about the guys fixing the cell phones.
Yeah.
There was a guy fixing cell phones.
Apple phones.
Apple phones, like fixing them, as in, something goes wrong. He was taking them in and actually fixing them, and Apple sued his fucking ass.
Forced the local government to put him out of business too.
Forced the local government to put him out of business to stop him from fixing phones so that people would go and buy new ones. That's all you need to know. Like that is like literally a portrait picture of everything we're discussing right there. It will go to that extent.
Didn't they have the audacity lately to say, oh my God, we are not giving you chargers anymore because we care about the environment?
And another thing that it contributes to this whole thing is the fact that they changed the technology so fast, right? Do you remember way back, it was VCR, and it was beta versus VHS, and then it was DVD, and then you got to rebuy all your albums if you do that kind of thing when it come out to Blu-ray. Yep. And so that's another contributing factor. They dribble it out. They piece it out. So we're always changing.
Where our technological curve should be much fucking steeper than it actually is. You're right. They've done it on purpose like that.
Yeah, it's a marketing.
But you can make it smart. You can make it smart. Build it like in a modular way, like you have your old PCs, right? Your graphic cards is obsolete. You buy a new one. You plug it in, right?
Yep.
You can make it with cars. You can make it with cell phones. You can make it with other things that once a part becomes obsolete, you can switch it, so you don't have to total the whole product, right? So you can make it cheap.
But the interesting thing is, there's an element of pushback as well, because the rise of vinyl in the last two and a half decades. Even I bought vinyl again, and that's because of the quality of the audio that's being produced. Because record players are so much better now, and hopefully designed to last. But CDs, the way that it works, because they sample thousands of things in a second, it's a step. The sound wave isn't a fluid arc. Curve. Like the analog, it just goes up and out, but CDs are just very small steps all the way through. And so the richness of vinyl, and like Blu-ray is awesome, but 4K, I'm like, well, that's just a step. We don't need reality, because with the governments on this planet, we don't really want people to have hologram technology. Just like people still, I've still got VHS tapes. You can still watch them. Anyone that's in photography,
the kids still love watching them.
Yeah, film for in photography is coming back as well, because it's a unique art form, and it's because it's not digitized. It's just
richer. I have an uncle who refuses to have a digital camera, and when Kodak was going out of business in Canada, he went and bought a pile of 35 millimeter film and put it all like in the freezer type thing. He put it like vacuum packed them, put them in the freezer, etc. He had a turntable. That was from the early 70s that is insured for like $35,000.
Wow.
Because it is that high tech. That turntable to this day is probably worth way in excess of 35, because I'm talking when he had that insured, that was the 90s. It was insured for that much.
No.
Because Why? Because it was that high a quality, that incredibly well made. The sound was that incredible from it. And people are going, because people are realizing the digital does not carry with it the.
Yeah, every once in a while, a fucking machine comes along, and it doesn't matter what it is, a car, a record player, some magician makes a fucking thing that's amazing and unbreakable and it'll last forever.
Yeah.
And they kill that shit right away. But those ones that kick back, they're the ones that are expensive and everybody wants.
So here's the thing. Going back to something that Nick was talking about a bit ago. They've bled the minnows dry. The pond is no longer stocked with all the things that keeps an ecosystem going, because the lower level, the smaller fishes, i.e. us, have died of starvation. There's no money left in the system. Now, we've talked about this for the last couple of months. Well, I've been talking about it for fucking years, but for the last couple of months, this whole reset, this economic reset thing that's coming up, because they've realized that you can only get so much money out of people. And once you've drained the people completely dry, now not only are they broke, but they're so far in debt, they will never get out of debt. Therefore, they will never be able to buy more stuff if they're always in debt, because there's going to be caps on how much credit they're going to finally be given. All of a sudden, the capitalist wheel of consume, it grinds to a halt. Because Nick has always said this, the economy of a country is not measured by a GDP or anything else. It's measured by the amount of money every person has in their pocket at any given time. Without that, you have no economy. Corporations matter for shit. It's about the people. So what are they going to do now? And this is the big warning. I had someone sent me a link to year zero. If you go on DuckDuckGo and you search year zero, there's a specific, give me 2 seconds because it's interesting what comes up. 2020 year zero reset. And there's a pile of articles. Funnily enough, a lot of them came out in June. Again, and we talked about the whole thing with Prince Charles going, oh, we're going to have an economic reset. Because they have to.
But
right?
Throw the money in the wrong areas.
That's exactly it. They're going to use it a control structure. So we wipe out everyone's debt. As we talked about that rumor that's coming out of some Canadian minister talked about it. Rumor. It's only rumor. We don't have anything solid on it, saying that they will launch a debt relief package that will be funded by the IMF, which should be your warning bells right there. The biggest thieves in the world. So they wipe out everyone's debt, so therefore they can take on more debt. But then they also take from them any assets that they own, i.e. they'll wipe out your mortgage, but then they own your house. You'll be able to live there. But if you don't own it, it means you can never go get a secondary mortgage on it.
I saw some propaganda for that. Where they're in people in the forest that looked a bit green, and I saw about 2 or 3 sort of photo shoots or those advertising, and their slogan is I think it was for Time magazine, or it's connected to the reset, and the slogan is you won't own anything and you'll be happy. And I'm like, no, I've
seen this shit too. All this talk about people not owning a fucking thing, you just use it as you need it and then fucking move on.
So exactly, because this is the whole thing. They think, the quintessential they think that by doing this, they can keep the exact same structure they have now.
Much better metadata collection.
They can keep all the structure that they have now, plus put some more controls in place. Obviously, things like vaccines, this COVID vaccine that they say would become mandatory, and vaccine passports, et cetera, et cetera. So they'd be able to put that many more controls in place, yet keep their little con game going. Because, wipe out all the debt and give people a universal income, which I'm not against. I've never been against that. But you give people the income, well, then they'll go and buy shit. They'll go to McDonald's.
Or the butcher.
Or they'll go and therefore it will look like The economy is Oh, look at how we fixed the economy, but at what cost?
You saw that though.
And
when
it's only going to last for so long.
A microcosm of that you saw when the fucking Fed released $2,000 to all the Americans as a stimulus package during the last COVID lockdown, and you saw a massive surge in fucking Walmart and shit like
Target.
that. Well, it was the only place that was open.
Yeah.
But the surge in people going out and spending money on those things, it showed.
It bolstered the economy.
It bolstered the economy for a very short period of time.
Yep.
But then they throw fucking $3 trillion at JP Morgan to fix, or they throw it at the fucking American Airlines, and it literally just disappears into a black hole, and you forget about it tomorrow.
What was the fine that we were just talking? You and I were just talking.
Oh,
Who
the
got
American
fined?
Department of Justice. Those are the biggest fucking criminals on the planet.
But what
They
was
just
the
hijacked,
specific
I think,
one?
like fucking a couple of $1 billion in Bitcoin. Just basically confiscated it.
Confiscated
and then-
$2 billion out of Silk Road in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and then they also fucking took fucking an Iranian oil shipment bound for Venezuela. I think this is a second or third one that they've taken now, to the tune of millions of dollars. And I'm like, well, fuck, why does the American Department of Justice get all this fucking, and what the fuck do
Where
they do
did that
with it?
money go? The question I've been asking since 2013 when the LIBOR scandal came out. And they started handing out sentences of like, this bank has been
Deutsche
fined.
Bank pays to the
Deutsche
American
has got to pay.
Department of Justice.
And Bank of America, and they're being fined on the LIBOR scandal. So where does that money go? So when the bank has to pay $25 million in fines, where does that money go? Where does it go? What happens to it? And we hear continuously, we got like
Hundreds of millions for the BP oil spill.
the
that paid
BP,
the
yeah,
Department
did
of
the money,
Justice.
yeah, where did that go? The gold fixing scam was a big one. There's been multiple lawsuits over that. And people get fined, and stockbrokers and banks get fined, etc. Well, where does that money go? Where is it going? Does it just sit in a bank account for the Justice Department? Where does it fucking go? That is never, ever fucking answered. So when you have like, okay, so they've commandeered Bitcoin out of Silk Road, $2 billion, and they're going to sell it. Well, first of all, that's going to fuck the market up, isn't it? It's going to totally fuck the cryptocurrency market when they just go and, drop it on the market. And second of all, who gets the money from that? Where is it going? Does it just fall into that black hole?
But what does that mean, the government? I mean, the Pentagon, I've jokingly said the Pentagon has the biggest couch ever because they keep losing trillions of dollars down the back of it.
Yeah.
Where, the famous one on the 10th of September, 2001, what was it? $2.7 trillion they couldn't actually has gone missing, and then the planes hit. And in the last decade or something, it's up to $20 trillion that they've got. That's just disappeared from the thing. And like,
real head scratcher.
Also remember
Go ahead, Bosie.
Also remember, this year was also the big disclosure movement in Washington, where they had all these generals and all these military guys speaking up about UFOs and shit. That was the same year, by the way.
I wonder what Monty was saying, because you've got all of these trillions of fucking dollars ostensibly being funneled into the Pentagon to do what? If they're building a secret space program, then they got to be paying some people for the technology. They got to be dumping that money back into the world, into the economy somehow. If they're buying fucking
parts or metals or steel,
electronics or fucking, where the fuck is that money going?
So it's interesting.
Well, you have an off-world economy as well.
Well, there is that question too.
Imagine Greys being as fucked up about economics as humans are.
You'll be surprised, those little.
But hey, Nick, keep in mind they find ways. Didn't they buy the titanium for the Blackbird back there in CIA times from the Russians, even though the Americans were building a spy plane? Was it?
The question is, I think the question that's being put forward is, if you follow the money, where does it end up? Because eventually it goes back into the economy. Someone must be holding on to it in a very large cave. I think that's sort of what you're getting at.
Somewhere.
It's gotta be.
There's a big black hole that just sucks up all.
Or a room full of fucking servers filled with zeros and a single one.
Well, like I said, the Paris Accords, right? When they came out in 2015, and they were like, we're putting 46 was it billion or trillion? I think it was $46 billion to save the planet. I'm like, right. So where's that money going? So you're going to spend
Charities.
$46 billion, but who are you spending it to? Like, where does that money go? And what are
The Gates
those
Foundation.
companies actually doing? Well, that's it. You got your Gates Foundations and places like this. Wait a second. That didn't do anything. Where did that money go? How did that help the environment? It didn't. It just, have you heard anything about that $46 billion since 2015?
Not to bring it back to Trump, but he didn't go into the Paris Accord because he, actually, being a business guy, he looked at the deal and said, like, so the US taxpayer has to pay trillions of dollars? Fuck off. And he went alone. And apparently the greenhouse effect gases, whatever, are lower than what the Paris thing asked for.
Yep.
They're doing better. However, Biden's going to join it because it's about optics. It's not actually about the environment. It's about money.
Well, no, because it could follow the trail of money.
Yeah.
Like, this is, again, where you go, like, all these people, your Justin Trudeau's and your fucking Bidens and your fucking Macrons and et cetera, who sign into these things, are they somehow related to the corporation that at the very end of the long pathway for that money, that they end up filling their pockets? Of course they are. Of course they are. They always are. These guys are always
Danny, over
somewhere
here-
out there with a back pocket.
Then, of course, over here in politics, it's so ministers or people that worked in politics, right? Like for Merkel or shit. So these people actually end off at some point at a job at a bank or at a big building company and shit like that. So they actually get out of politics, wait a few years, and then get their sweet ass job, you know?
You mean like senators who
Old
become,
fucks
presidents?
shouldn't be allowed in politics anymore. By the time the policies they put in place and the fucking come to fruit and the things that they do to the world actually show results, most of the time they're fucking dangling a foot in the grave. Old cunts have no place in politics anymore.
No, I agree. I agree.
I've got
I
a
think
thing
and to be really unpopular with it, I think it should be family people. Like, you're not allowed to run for politics unless you have at least one child.
That makes sense.
Because you know what, you are
supposed to
then in
represent
charge of
people.
what are you passing on to your children? What legacy are you passing on to your children? And that may sound really, really horrible, but the problem is using British and fucking American politics as an example. You have these guys who've been in power for 20, 30, 40 years. Biden, what, is 45 years he's been in Congress? 47 years he's been in Congress.
He is like a
What the
fucking
fuck? That's a
cum sock
parasite.
been kept under the fucking bed for 10 years. That guy.
Wasn't there also the
Thanks
joke?
for the visual.
Like,
Thanks for the visual. I'm
guys,
sure everyone
wasn't
thanked you for
that joke like, look how much Biden paid in taxes and how much only Trump paid, and then nobody asked, like, wait a minute, I thought he's a politician. Why does he have so much money? Doesn't he
How
have
do
like
all
a
these
limited
politicians in
paycheck?
Congress all of a sudden have millions and millions of dollars? I'd like to know.
Yeah, and why
the
do they
fuck?
have to pay millions in taxes? So
Because
where
they've got
does the
millions of
money
dollars.
come
That's,
from?
Donations, or I think apparently Donald Trump is the only president in U.S. history that has actually lost money while working as a president, because he's not taking any bribes or anything else like that, allegedly. So, well, that's what they say.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Well, that
I've got
remains to be seen.
I've got a lot. Yeah. I've got a my issue is, like, if you've got $50 million, why do you need more? How can you actually spend that much money? What
Exactly.
are you doing? Mind you, in my basic world, I can live on $600 a week. If I actually get more than $600 a week, I'm like, wait, I'm saving money. This is weird. I mean, I'm paying rent, but you know what I mean.
Exactly.
And then you've got the other end extreme of that. You're Jeff Bezos, right? And from the one side, the way he runs his company, fuck my God, communist countries are taking notes from that cunt on the one side. But then on the other side, the profits he's pulling in are astronomical and record setting, and he's the richest man on the fucking planet. but there should never be a person that fucking controls that much wealth, because here's what happens. When you get to a point where it just starts piling up in warehouses, that's like blood in your body, or that the energy in an electrical circuit, that money is now just fucking sitting there as wasted potential. It's not doing what it's supposed to.
Well, look at Disney, the way they treat their employees at the theme parks. You know, like they bring in, well, they tried with Star Wars. I need to let it go, people. I understand. I have to make peace with the Star Wars universe. But they like I think it's Walt Disney's great granddaughter. She actually is fighting for the rights of the park workers, because she's completely appalled. This is not what her great grandfather or Walt wanted. He would actually, like, you know, remember Henry Ford? Apparently he's a racist, but I don't know. He actually had a wage because he had this strange idea of yeah, I know, but he had this idea of paying his workers enough that they could buy his car. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of like at Amazon, where it's like, can you tip for Amazon? Because, you know, those people, you know, BLM, slavery. Look at Amazon, for fuck's sake. Those people are starving to death because they get 37 out of the dollar. Or,
they're pissing in a bottle at their workstations.
Well, it's and literally like Walmart. That was the joke of, like, Walmart has almost no full-time employees, because if you have I'm talking in Canada. If it's a full-time employee, you have to pay for their health care. You have to pay for all these different things by law, right? So they hire part-time employees, give them just enough hours that they're not full-time, so they don't by law have to pay any benefits to them, and they all have second jobs. They don't even pay them enough to be able to live off their salaries. But this is, and you talk about slavery, this is modern day slavery. When you have people,
Uber's
and you have
doing it too.
Uber's doing it as well. What Uber makes off, the drivers make is.
Can I add in the welfare connection to that? They're probably earning enough that they can't get welfare because they're in that the crossover where they don't have enough to survive. But if they lose the job, they go on welfare, where it's so much less you can't survive.
Yep.
But and how are these people going to afford to buy anything in a system that's fucking increasing to microtransactions on your fucking video, anything? How people can't afford to buy fuck all.
Yep. And this is like Nick and I, we use ourselves as an example. Before we had kids, house prices, right? Nick worked in construction. He worked through a union. He made a pretty good hourly wage. I worked in customer service. I made an okay hourly wage. When we did our taxes, it would throw us into a tax bracket where we had paid one of the highest income tax percentages. And it was the same thing. For example, I can remember I was going through one job, and the job was paying, I think it was like, can't remember what the actual wage was. And I said to them, no, I don't want that. I want $3,000 less a year. And the guy looked at me like I'm crazy. I said, because if you give me that raise of $3,000, you throw me into the next tax bracket.
And I make less.
And we would, the drop of making $3,000 more in a year.
Ouch, Nancy, ouch.
Was so significant. Yeah, exactly. Canada. So Nancy, exactly. 54% tax bracket. This is Canada, okay? Like this, welcome to Canada. We had an apartment. We rented a condominium. Nick got an inheritance, and because he got a little bit of an inheritance, we were able to roll it into an RRSP, a registered retirement savings fund, take a loan out on it, and then use that as a down payment on a house. But other than that, that was the only way we could have afforded to have bought a house in Toronto. It wasn't. It was in the great GTA, Greater Toronto Area. We were not poverty. But it didn't matter. Even with 2 decent wages coming in, when you put in your car payment and your house payment, etc., we ended up bankrupt. When my daughters were babies, we ended up bankrupt because the house industry went kind of gaga, and we ended up having to sell, etc., etc. And you sit
You
there
get
and you
booted
go,
out of your job after 4 years, and they just
And-
hand you a pink slip, and they're like, "Bye."
and then you're done. Like you're literally done at that point. And you take then jobs that are anything. And the thing is now is this is everyone. Like everyone I'm talking to right now is in the same in debt slavery.
Yeah.
Where
Slavery.
and it's you are a debt slave to what you owe on your mortgage or your car or your credit card or your student loan, etc. But then add on the fact that you're being paid slave wages.
There's an interesting shift in mentality, and Monty, you know to speak to this too, because how do you guys gauge your rent in Australia? You pay by the week, don't you?
No, monthly. It's mostly it's monthly. It could be different
Where we were
things,
was
but
weekly.
In New South Wales, the only way they would speak about rent is by the week. You pay by the week. And it's interesting when you think about how that went from our grandparents who by the year.
like
parents who
my
paid
house is
by the
say
month.
$3.15.
We've got a
Yeah,
delay.
here in Australia. Well, with my rental situation is they advertise it weekly, but you pay monthly, and that's through a real estate agent.
And
of course
kind
the numbers are completely fucking different.
Yeah, it kind of plays into the mentality though, right? Like most people, there was that meme of like being able to get by month to month, and now they're making people think and trying to get by week to week.
Well, yeah, it could be because they could probably make like if your landlord is like my landlord goes through a real estate agent, and so it's more set up in that respect, and you get paid monthly and everything else like that. But if you just go to the landlord straight away, you can make an agreement of paying it weekly, and so it's that crushing. The way that the big end of time, the greed is just crushing down. There's less money where like wages haven't really moved forward in decades, but the price of bread's gone from 30 cents to $2. Yeah.
Yep. And that's the way it is across the board. That is literally the way it is across the board. And I joked about for ages, like when we first got to Malta in 2016, as a comparative, having coming from Australia, where everything is so fucking expensive, we got to Malta and we're like, oh my God, it's so cheap. And I get like a broccoli that was like this big for €1 in season. In the 4 years we were there, all of a sudden, the prices of food
doubled.
At least doubled. But the wages didn't change even a penny.
Rents doubled too.
Rents doubled, food doubled, costs of everything doubled, but the wages did not go up by more than 5 cents an hour. Maybe. And it went from people like the people who I spoke to in 2016 to the ones I spoke to just before we left, being from, no, we're doing okay. You know, we go out once a week. We can go down to the cafe and have a little pizza or something, to people saying, no, like we don't go out, we eat at home. People are talking about how young people are not being able to leave home when they finish university and college because they can't afford rent.
Here in Australia, we have a welfare set up. It's kind of socialistic, like we care, but it's that 50-50. It's not totally socialist. We have unemployment benefits. That has not got, apart from inflation, it has not moved up in 25 years.
Yep.
It's $40 a day.
Yep.
Can you imagine anyone trying to survive on $40 a day in this world?
No.
Not when I know what the minimum wage there is, and everything is based on that minimum wage.
Yeah, because you've been to Australia, you know what it's like. Where, like, I freaked out, Dani, about a couple of months ago. It's like this cigarette packet is now worth $50. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Technically, it's 2 hours of work, but still, a fucking.
If you can get the job,
If you can get a job.
Yeah.
But this is it. This going back to this whole thing of what I believe. I totally think that they are going to try and roll out this whole economic reset. As we said last week, the problem is that people are so desperate that they'll take it. They'll take even if they're shocked at the fact that they're going to take their house and they won't have ownership of their house. Even if that upsets them hugely, they're going to turn around and they're going to be in that position of like, well, what else are we going to do? We have no choice.
Yeah, when push
Well,
comes to shove.
will they ever realize they're slaves?
They don't
Yeah,
realize it
They
now.
don't realize it now. But how much worse is it going to be? I mean, this is it. Little steps, right? It's like, it's the whole analogy of if you put the frog in the pot of boiling water versus you put the frog in the pot and then turn the temperature up and slowly raise the temperature of the water. That's the pot. We're in this slowly raising temperature right now in that pot, and people are not noticing.
Well, people are starting to notice because, people watch this show. Because, remember, because we're roughly in the same age bracket. You remember when your parents, one parent went and got the money, and you had a house and a holiday house and a boat and everything else like that. And what's it like now? Both parents have to go out and work, and they're renting. Kids today can't, as you said earlier, because the wages, even if you're getting $50,000 a year, how much are fucking houses? $1 million. How on earth are you going to do that? You can get a loan, yeah, but what's the job security in this day and age as well?
In the 70s, my father would go out and he would have a really good job running a machine. It would be $18 to $20 an hour. And at $18 to $20 an hour, he could do a lot of shit. Buy vehicles, have fucking a pack of smokes, case of beer, and full tank of gas on a Friday for $20 less. But now in Canada, finding a job for $20 an hour you can't do it. Even if you want to get in as a plumber, everybody's hiring at like 15, 17 an hour. But fucking prices aren't what they were in the 70s.
And that's the thing too. It's like when you look at things like that comparative of like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, one person in the family worked, the other person stayed home, looked after kids, etc. Their mortgages weren't 35-year mortgages. They didn't sign up if they had to get them. A couple got married and they wanted to buy a house and they got, they took their bit of wedding money, whatever is their down payment. They went in, they got a mortgage. It wasn't a 35 fucking year mortgage. It was a 10-year mortgage. It was in some cases a 5-year mortgage, which is why they could pay off their mortgage and then be like, oh, we've paid off our mortgage. It's like, how about we get a cottage? That would be really nice. Let's get a cottage. And they would get themselves a little cottage and they'd have maybe a second car, as things. That doesn't happen anymore. And that's a direct effect of the debt slavery that is right now.
The scary part of that is the trend. From my grandfather to knowing what he had in his life, all he had to do was work for it, to my father, to seeing him carry that mentality, if you work for it, you get it, and fucking it did work for him for a while, to having that mentality completely thrown on its ear, to my life, to seeing what I've had to go through. The patterns are not getting fucking better. And for my kids, what they're going to be looking at in the future, I'm truly concerned. So I'd love for this world to fucking turn itself around. There's no reason we live like this. This is fucking retarded.
Look in the last century where, if it was a century ago, we would build our own house. Remember when people build their own houses?
And communities would come together to help someone build their own house.
If I built a house, I would not go in it because I know what I'm like. I've got a coffee table that's very unique, if I can say it that way. But
an IKEA one you put together yourself?
Oh, remember those days where you could remember phone numbers?
Yeah, when they were only 7 fucking numbers long.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still using. I have to use a calculator now. The brain has gotten so lax where everything's instant. It's like, divide 217 by 3, and the brain just freaks out. It's like, oh fuck, I'll go to the calculator. Oh, that's what. Of course it is. It's we're the tools of the technology instead of the other way around.
Well, this is that go forward, we must go back. We talked about that on the astrology show. We've talked about that on multiple shows, that stepping back and going back to the good old days, if you will, where things like to the basics of learning how to use tools, learning how to rewire a toaster, learning how to bake your own bread, learning how to change the oil in your car, et cetera, et cetera.
Change the tire, holy fuck.
We had
a friend fucking, he car tire to go flat, and he just stood in front of the car and scratched his head. He had no idea where to even start. He was a fucking 30-year-old man. And I was like, serious?
But these are the lost arts that we need to bring back, because at those points, then we can start becoming again self-sufficient. When you can start becoming self-sufficient, and Christy knows what I'm talking about. When we start talking about things like learning how to make your own jam, make soup, shit like that. It seems to the younger generation preposterous.
We
It
need
seems ridiculous.
we need an old good fashioned barn raising. That's what we all need.
Well,
What
What was that, Christy? Hold on, Christy. Yes.
Yep.
There's a spark of hope. One of my eldest daughter's friends, I haven't met her yet, but she's like, I feel kind of awkward because when I meet your mom, I really want to get invited to the soap making that she does every year because I really want to learn how to do it. So we make soap every February like you traditionally do, and we make the soap for the year. So now she's like 18, 19,
Nice.
and she's going to come and join us to learn how to make soap.
Cool.
Not the melt and pour, the actual
proper
lye
soap.
and fat soap.
I want to learn how to
So
do
there's
that
hope.
too, because that's something I don't know how to do.
All this is great for humanity as well, because it expands the intelligence, and you have critical thinking. Because I'm an eater, not a cooker, and I'm boring at food. But I can understand someone who can cook, and you've got they know 70 dishes. Just the mind, it's working the mind all the time. Whereas you put paprika there, not on your muffins. Okay, fair enough, yeah, and stuff like that. So there's.
But for us younger people, I mean, I like to cook too, but then again, if you had a lot of work today, you come home, if you have to start it all from scratch and clean up and cook and yada, yada, yada. So I was fighting with people in my family and saying yeah, but I can understand these people are doing it because they're ordering food because they are saving time. They don't have to prepare. They don't have to clean afterwards. I mean, if you have worked 12 hours a day and you come home and you start from scratch again, I can understand this.
I can understand.
But isn't that actually the sad point that a person has to work most of the day to actually have enough and then can't even use the time left to do something fun like cooking or something?
My first point is you're working 12 hours a day. Stop that. But yeah, it's if you've got a shitty job and the way it's being done, unless you love it. And that's the tip. If you love doing what you're doing, but most people hate their jobs. And even when you get home, it's I have to cook now. Oh, fuck it. I'll just order it in. And that knowledge gets lost.
Yes, I know. But
hold on,
the point was I can understand
Bossy, people don't understand that with some of the basic things that we've got for our kitchens, if you've got a crock pot, slow cooker, whatever you want to call it, and even if you've gone to the grocery store and bought a chicken that is already cooked, if you take that carcass and some water and you throw it in your slow cooker, turn it on before you go to work, you're going to come home to homemade chicken broth. You can put that in a package in the freezer, pull it out, and now you've got a handful of vegetables. You can make a good basic soup. It doesn't take an eon to make a decent meal. But people have just forgotten how to do it.
It's not forgotten. The thing is that when the mothers get sent out to work, right? You end up with generations that have lost that, because now you've got, my mom started working pretty much full time when I was about 14. So that would have been in the 80s. And she worked 3 days a week, and then it went up to being full time. Now, my mom is a terrible cook. I'll also preface this and just saying she's just a terrible cook.
Oh, you're still
And
alive.
uninvented. No, not a bad cook.
But
A
she
terrible.
learned how to cook well because of it, I think.
But that's it. I took over cooking for my family for dinner at 14, and my mom would leave out 2 pounds of ground beef and say make meatloaf, and I'd go, find a recipe book. Oh, what can I do with 2 pounds of ground beef? Oh, Swedish meatballs. Awesome. Let's try this. But I had a mom who at least knew the basics. She taught me basic canning. She taught me basic things like making bread. And if she wasn't around, I had a grandmother who was very much a part of my life who absolutely taught me all the basics. But then we have this generation that came in where all of a sudden, you don't have grandma around, you don't have mom around. So all of a sudden food becomes instant. And within a generation, there isn't the person there in your life to even teach you I always joke, so I'm making soup right now. I came down the stairs and was like, oh, soup's coming. It's coming along quite nicely. You don't have the person to teach you the fact that making soup is so fucking easy. So fucking easy. People go, oh, I have no idea how to do that. I'll just get this can of soup, and that's what I'll have.
I would just like to say, Gorf, that Chef Boyardee mystery meat raviolis are actually fucking gourmet. So yeah, please, let's just leave those out and give them the respect they deserve. Because they're awesome. They're the best fucking thing I could find in the Congo to eat. When I went there, it was the only thing I could get my hands on that I was like, oh, I'll eat that. Yeah.
Chef Boyardee ravioli out of a can, not even heated. That's called desperation
Gourmet.
food. That's called desperation eating.
Fancy.
That's so earther. Oh, survive.
I
Mind you, also
always-
with
I
all
always-
everything that's happening on the planet, with everyone's diet, who knows? Go ahead, Earl. Sorry.
I always loved their spaghetti one. Growing up, I could eat that thing cold, man. I loved it. Which I don't think you're supposed to do, but I did it anyway. As a
Yeah,
kid,
no.
so.
Can we not talk about canned Chef Boyardee?
I know,
anymore,
I'm
please?
sorry.
Oh my God, that's like nightmares for me. My mom was also Scottish, so she was also really, really stingy. So we didn't get instant Chef Boyardee in the house because that would have cost extra money. She'd make it from scratch instead, which was good. But
Oh, fuck zoodles too.
don't even start.
Oh.
Gorf and Nick, stop it, both of you. We're not discussing Chef
I
Boyardee
used to
anymore.
just put them on the engine of the truck and fucking run it around for an hour at work and then let them just open it off the engine because it was. It was
The fun part of being the only Australian on the call was like, what the hell are you people talking about?
Oh, it really, really bad canned pasta.
I don't need to. I don't understand. I don't need to know. I mean, I can bring up SPC and Maggi and all. I can bring up the local references.
Yeah, no.
Your
no.
fucking Vegemite and Marmite. Oh,
That's a delicacy, and we all move
It
on
is
from that.
not
all right?
a delicacy.
Yes, it is.
yeah.
So it worked perfectly. There's more for me. What's the problem here?
You
Don't
can
eat.
have
Don't
it
like it. Don't.
all, darling. You can have it all.
That's what I'm saying. There shouldn't be this whole thing like you don't like Vegemite. Good.
Okay, Bossy just put a comment in the chat saying Nick and Gorf should make a cooking show for men called Are You a Man? Spam is making a comeback. Yeah. Let's not talk about that.
Spam salad sandwiches are awesome. Just saying.
Anyone wants to try Vegemite, very, very small amounts and thin. It's not peanut butter. I started with if anyone wants to, not saying you have to. I'm pointing out if you have to, and if everyone goes, you should try this. Very,
when you've
very
been wearing
thin.
your flip flops around all day and you get that stuff that builds up underneath the flip flop thong part, that's what Vegemite is.
No, that's Marmite. We've got another
we
10
just
minutes.
stop?
Let's argue about Marmite and Vegemite.
No.
Mind you, I don't like Nutella, so each to their
No,
own.
that's
I don't
shit.
like Nutella either. Homemade Nutella is really good though. Because you can
But
half
yeah, mate,
the
it's
amount of
only an
sugar
Australian
that's in
thing.
it.
So just let if you've had many warning with Vegemite, it's not peanut butter, so do not slap it on. That's the point I'm making.
just a thin little bit, and then throw your toast
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, burn the toast to hide the flavor of the Vegemite. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Oh my! How did we get here? How did we
Someone
get
brought up
here in
food.
this conversation? I blame you, and I blame Gorf.
No, well, we're bringing up how well, because the
Instant foods.
yeah, and the way that society's working, where people that used to cook, like I miss both grandmas cooking because they've both moved on, and you know, I mean, at least I know you're a cooker, so your kids are actually getting food and stuff, and so like, oh, tonight we're having KFC, and tomorrow will be Pizza Hut, and the day before that will be McDonald's.
The 7-night
Because
meal
McDonald's
plan.
is a restaurant, really.
One thing I have to say about this pandemic, it really got me into Chinese food, which I'm very grateful. I mean, I wasn't a Chinese food person until my mom's like, well, they ordered Chinese, but I think they forgot to say for me or whatever. So they were like, well, this is all we have. So I ate it, and I'm like, oh, what have I been missing? Whoa, wait, what? Wait.
Bossy
now
just
it's-
said, "Don't eat the bat
now-
soup, Earl."
That's funny,
No, no, but now it's making me think I want to try Japanese food. Like
I
it's
love
giving me that where when I was younger, I would not be this adventurous food wise because I have my hot dogs, I have my cheeseburgers.
I
had my
think someone has
pizza.
had
I
a very
was good.
sheltered life, Earl, and you need to try more things.
Just
seriously.
be careful, Earl, because that stuff that they make that they call Chinese food is not actually Chinese food. So if you start venturing into things like, you know, traditional Japanese food, you might end up with some freaky shit on your plate.
Good to know. But I'm like, I'm into like people are like, well, Taco Bell's not really Mexican food. I
Taco Bell is
understand.
not really Mexican food.
I know. I've been in the Mexican part of town in Detroit. Oh, the food there. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm picky about food. I'm the first one to admit I'm very, very picky about food. Hence, I don't do KFC.
Love your doggo, Gail.
Oh, look at Gail's new doggo. She's so cute. All cuddled up with Gail. Oh, making her first appearance on the show.
She's more like I got up to take my cup out, came back, and she was in my spot. So I'm on the edge.
She's got that look in her eyes like, if I stay perfectly still, no one will notice me.
That's exactly it. You've got that spot on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she's...
Yeah, no, Rocket comes upstairs to my bed every single night and tries to climb in. And then he looks at you when you're like, okay, out now. Because if I'm in bed just reading, I'll let him come curl up. Then it's like, right, okay, we're going to sleep now. You got to go. And he just looks at you and goes, it's kind of like he stops moving. And it's the same kind of idea. It's like, if I just stop moving and don't blink, maybe they won't see me and they'll just forget that I'm here. It doesn't work.
Even they're the size of a small fridge, but yeah.
Yeah.
Something off topic, but kind of related is Christmas this year. My family asked if we could skip the presents, and I was like overjoyed. It was like, just, you know, my mom was like, well, we're all older and we, you know, like, what can you get that we don't already have or whatever. So I was really happy, but I'm tying that back to what you guys were talking about earlier in the economy, in the way that if more people do that, it could actually be a bad thing because it wouldn't stimulate the economy if a lot of people aren't going to buy because they don't have finances this year. For us, it's a personal choice just not to do it because it's kind of irrelevant to us now.
Yeah.
But
we've watched the last generation of the small mom and pop stores and the butchers and all those get starved out and die off.
And it's
and
even
that
worse
last
in
generation
England
now that's pretty much cleaned out all of the little nooks and crannies of like smaller end businesses. So now the Walmarts and the Amazons, they're going to start to feel the pinch and they're going to start to get starved out.
this is the thing. This is the big scream. And I actually reposted something today on this. They've shut down the British economy until the 2nd of December, until at least the 2nd of December. All that Christmas shopping that people would normally be doing right now, buying presents, where are they going?
Amazon,
eBay. I mean, eBay's not as bad because you can still buy from small shops on eBay, like British. You can pick
Or an
people who
actual
are in
person.
England, a real person, and buy things. But Amazon, they're going to your big box stores, so like your Asda, where your Walmart knockoff type shit. So I mean, literally sitting here and going, well, what choices do people have? Like when you're talking about, I had one lady in one of my gardening groups just sit there and go, I always send a Christmas present to my auntie who's in the States or Canada or something. And I always have it in the mail by the second last week in November because, shipping is always a little. And she was like, but like, I can't even go out to go buy her something. So now I'm what do I do? How do I even send something to my auntie? And everyone was like, oh, just go on Amazon and buy something on Amazon US. And then you can just, but that's going to be the mentality. People are going to do that. And great. So Bezos makes some money.
This
It does
second
absolutely nothing.
pandemic going to be even better for him.
Well, coming from Victoria where we came out of lockdown, and I'm trying not to manifest third wave because, God damn it. It's like, online's awesome, but then you've got the postage. And so because I'm pinching, it's cheaper to go to a store and not pay for that postal shit as well. And for presents as well,
for shit.
I've been saying this to my family for years. Yeah. And also because I'm buying stuff from England and everything else like that, all the postage has been swamped, so it's slowed down. And it's like, I'll buy this, and then it takes 8 weeks instead of 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then if I buy something else, it's here tomorrow. It's like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, a lot of
with
things
the
here are
presents
free
thing,
postage.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
I just ordered some elastic, just like the kind of stuff that you would use in your trousers, like a waistband type elastic. It showed up today. And I literally was like, oh, look at this. Totally forgot I ordered that. I had to have ordered it 3-4 weeks ago. I completely forgot, completely forgot because Halloween got, fucking canceled. So we didn't need the elastic for costumes anymore. But like completely was like, oh, like that was at least 3-4 weeks ago that I ordered that.
My thing for Christmas presents, my family keeps saying no, but I would like them to buy stuff for themselves and then tell me what I got them.
That's a good way to do it.
And I do, I can do the same because it's like, I don't have much money, and I keep buying all these records. And like, well, maybe I do have the money, but it's just easy, especially when you get your, our age and everything else like that. It's like, so what do you want, Mum? Chocolate? Again?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna take a moment here. Hold on. I got to segue into a little bit of advertising, okay? Because the Christmas season is coming up, and shipping is fucking already insane. Not always, but it is unreliable. Like usually, for example, when I send Gaia's Garden products to the States, it usually is about 2 weeks. I had a package get there last week in 4 days, and I had another package like a couple weeks before that still hasn't arrived. It's been 4 weeks. So I'm letting everyone know, if you're wanting to order some Gaia's Garden product to give out as Christmas gifts, get your orders in now, because like we just don't know how bad the shipping is going to fucking get. It is really erratic in some places. Australia, getting packages to Australia right now, minimum 4 weeks. Minimum 4 weeks at the moment. Portugal, which is only just, I can almost throw the package to Portugal from here. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. I have got several clients who now send everything to Portugal by courier because they can get it there in 5 days. Otherwise, it's 8 weeks by mail. So I'm letting everyone know, if you want to send stuff now I will be doing the Christmas gift cards as well. So if you leave it to the last minute type thing and you want to still send Gaia's Garden product, I do have the gift cards. So you can buy the gift cards and just send them the gift card instead, and they can pick what they want. But like I said, keep it in mind, shipping is unbelievably bad this year. Unbelievably bad this year.
Dani, did you ever do the emergency essences again? I remember you were looking for roll-on bottles, but you couldn't find them.
I'm not doing them. I do have them. They're not in stock right now. I haven't made any. I do have the emergency. I have everything because we put them in dropper bottles instead. So they look like they're. This is a 20 mil, so it's a 10 mil dropper bottle like that instead. So, but yes, they're totally available. I just haven't got any made up at the moment, but I tend to make those up when an order comes in. I make it up when the order comes in.
Because I wanted to order two sets for my mom and sister for Christmas.
Oh yeah. Just send me a message.
It's going to be from my son because their grandma and auntie, so they buy my son something. So it's kind of like a present from Jackson, just to say thank you. So. Yeah,
no, just send me a message. I can totally do that. Like I said, because of what goes into the emergency essences, there's a lot of energetic work that goes into them. So I tend to not make them up until an order has come in. When an order comes in, then I sit down and I make that set to go out to that person.
Okay.
So, yes. You're welcome, sweetie. You're welcome. And you and I got to chit chat soon.
Full show, you guys. Yes, we need to. And I could do a full show, you guys, on Amazon and the black hat tactics they use, because I sell on Amazon, and it's. I feel like I'm selling my soul to the devil doing it, because honest to God, the black hat techniques, Amazon really is like a criminal organization. It's brutal. We'll have to talk about it one day on another show, and I'll tell you how to navigate it to buy stuff that isn't drop shipped, cheap knockoffs from China.
Yeah.
How people battle for the buy box, what Amazon choice is, all the crazy nonsense that you see. We
should do that, Nancy. That is actually really important, because unfortunately a lot of people are going to get stuck doing that. So you and I should maybe sit down and record that as soon as we can, because that's important information. Okay. That's some important information.
Okay. And then I can navigate around. I can screen share, and I'll show you what it means when it says Amazon choice. Always, if you can, get it fulfilled by Amazon. It means it's in the warehouse, stocked, and you can get it. Okay?
It's not going to be drop shipped from China.
Right. Now they're cracking down on drop shipping because they're having lawsuits being brought against them because of things like there was a lady that bought a phone battery from a third-party shipper, and it exploded on her. And because Amazon didn't release third-party seller information, it's just a name on there. She sued, and she sued Amazon, and they tried to get out of it, and the court said, no, you're responsible. Just because you're the marketplace doesn't mean you're absolved of responsibility. All kinds of weird stuff happen on there. So.
Oh shit! Yeah. No, we will definitely. You and I'll sit down.
Yeah, we'll go
that, because that's an important one. Oh fuck. Side note, UnFuckersUnite.com is up and running. We're still having issues with the memberships. Fucking Mercury is not in retrograde anymore, but it might as well be. Continuously little pieces keep going astray on coding. Poor Penny's losing her mind. Literally, we just had another piece break last night, and it's just like, I don't know. If you signed up in September, especially for a monthly membership, and you cannot get into your account, it's because when we swapped out the last piece of software that broke, basically your payment was taken from automatic and made manual. So because it's manual, it's showing your account is suspended. So I may take those, and I think there's only 24 accounts. I think there's just 24 accounts that are affected by this. I may take them and wipe them off again and have you re-sign up again, because we cannot figure out a way to turn it from manual over to automatic. We don't have the power as the vendor, as you can imagine. They're not going to let a vendor go in and change your payment choice, obviously. But we're working through it, guys. But we have the cooking forum is now up and running. So we've got all the recipes going into the cooking forum. Yay, yeah, Christy. I know. I got my dog food recipes were the first ones I put in there because that's the one that I get. Everyone messages me going, "How do you make your dog food?" So I've got those recipes are in there. So the cooking forum is up and running. The Unfuckers Unite group is up and running. I'm going to officially say this here and now. I did say this on the astrology show on Saturday. As of next weekend, all the Facebook groups that I run are being archived and closed down. Right now, Unfuckers Unite on Facebook, Facebook has gone in and put everyone under full moderation because there were several posts that went against their community standards. So now I have to manually approve every single, I woke up to 52 posts this morning that had to be manually approved. So as if I did not need a little push in the right direction, now it's done. So as of next weekend, so this coming weekend, so what's that? The 14th, Saturday the 14th. As of Saturday the 14th, the Unfuckers Unite group, the Solar Gardening group, the business group, everything is being closed down. It'll all be archived. And from that point on, everything will be on Unfuckers Unite only. So, yes, the videos will still be going out on YouTube. Yes, they will. But we will start having, for example, I'm going to try and do it once a month. It'll be like an Unfuckers chat. That again, it will not be going on YouTube. It will only be going under for members only. And it'll just be like a sit back and chill out chat where we can just shoot the shit. Talk about whatever the fuck we want. Unfuckers Unite is www.unfuckersunite.com. I will put the link below. So yeah, that's it, guys.
Do you actually have a polite way of saying that? Because I try and actually promote it on my radio show, and
We call it the UU group. The UU group.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah. Because
UU, we go by the acronym. Just the UU group.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Uncopulating is just wanted to make sure.
Yes. Yes.
So what I was saying, and you brought up the gift cards, Dani.
I didn't hear you, Earl.
I've been looking for Spotify.
I'm sorry, Earl. I'm not hearing you. My internet connection is unstable. Yeah, go ahead. Try again, Earl.
Yeah. So I've been looking for Spotify gift cards because, I love my Spotify. And I found them at Staples. But you can't really get it at the store. You have to get it online. And it's because I think it's a COVID freaking thing. I don't know. But yeah, it's really stupid that you can't just go to the store and pick up a
gift card.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, corporate bullshit everywhere. Okay, right. So, guys, we have not decided on the next astrology show yet. We're still trying to work on schedules. That will be pretty soon. It definitely, I'm going to say by mid-December at the latest, depending again on everyone's kind of fucking wild schedules. Getting us all four of us together at the same time tends to be interesting sometimes. And we have the UnFuckIt discussion next Monday again. And that's everything. If I've forgotten anything, anyone? No, we're good. Awesome. I love everyone. I love you guys. And I will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.